Hello everyone, welcome. This is Achin Singh from Walton Education. If you're new here, we are a peer-to-peer college consulting and essay editing service, and our team of consultants and essay editors includes students and alumni of some of the finest universities across the world. We specialize in undergraduate admissions in the United States, Canada, UK, Singapore, and more. And we offer services ranging from everything from school selection to academic and test support to essay editing and the whole entire admissions process. We have a whole host and range of packages and a la carte options that you can choose from if you would like to avail our services. Do email me at walsoneducation@gmail.com. I am linking it down below. If you think you need help with any aspect of your application, let's set up a free consultation. Let's see what we can do for you and help you in any which way to fulfill your own admissions journey. With that out of the way, we are speaking today with Vasvi Gupta, a student of economics at Columbia University, as well as a member of my team of editors and consultants, and someone who has extraordinary insight into the process. Let's hear her thoughts on her own admissions journey, her advice for any of you who might be applying to colleges, and just a general picture of what it's like to be admitted to and study at one of the finest universities in the world. And so, without further ado, let's hear from Vasvi.
Hi, Vasvi. Thank you for speaking with me today.
Hello.
So, Vasvi, can you start off with perhaps a short introduction about yourself? You know, who you are, where you go to school, things like that.
Right. So I'm Vasvi Gupta from Kanpur, and I've been studying in Mayo College Girls School, which is in Ajmer, for the past 6-7 years. So I've been there since the 7th grade,
Okay.
and I've been pursuing the ISC curriculum there. And I just graduated this year, and I'll be attending Columbia University this fall.
And your major at Columbia will be?
Economics. I'm planning to do financial economics, but I get a
Yeah.
better picture when I'm there.
Okay, that makes sense. And amidst, all of the uncertainty surrounding the pandemic and online versus in-person classes, what are you opting for this semester? Are you going to go to campus? Are you taking a year off? What are you doing?
So for the fall, I'll be taking online classes, but hopefully
Okay.
I'll be there in the spring. I didn't find it very useful to defer because I'll be wasting a year and a half that way.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
So let's get to the application process. So you got into an Ivy League university. So people want to listen to you. They will pay attention when you speak. So let's talk about how you decided
hopefully.
to how you decided to apply to the US and if you applied to any other countries, the entire backdrop of your application story.
Right. So I applied to the US, Canada,
Okay.
and to the UK. And so traditionally, a lot of students, they want to choose a dream school, set of dream schools, safety schools, and target schools. What I did was that I divided it country-wise. So to the US, I only broadly applied to the Ivies or mainly to dream schools. And I took UK as my target and safety schools. And Canada, of course, was again target and safety. So to the US, I chose Columbia University as my ED, and the rest were RD. So I didn't go through the RD process at all because I got through my ED college. And
Okay.
in the UK, I applied to Oxford, which was Dream, LSC, which was Dream, Warwick Kings, and I applied to St. Andrews. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, St. Andrews. And I got through all my UK colleges, only LSC. I did not take the UGA exam because I had already gotten through Columbia. So LSC did not take me, and Oxford, I made it to the interview, but I could not go forward from there on. So I
Okay.
got 3 out of 5
Yes.
choices in the UK, and Canada, I had applied to U Toronto and UBC. So because I got through Columbia and Canada was only as a backup, so I did not really submit my documents to U Toronto, and so they said that they will not be continuing reviewing my application, which was completely okay with me. And UBC I got through, and they gave me an $80,000 scholarship also.
Wow. So,
So
but when it came to
yeah.
where you want to go, it wasn't much of a choice, was it?
No, so the two main contenders for me were Oxford and Columbia, but since I could not make it to Oxford, I'll be going to Columbia. But anyway, Columbia was over Oxford in any case. So I'm happy that it worked out that way.
That's awesome. And let's talk about some of the statistics for your application. Everyone before applying is absolutely obsessed with their SAT, ACT, all those kind of things. Let's hear some of your numbers.
So I think it is very, very important because every college, they have this range within which students ACT or SAT scores must lie. And that's like a prerequisite that colleges want to see in the people they're admitting. So I think it's really important to stress on your SAT and ACT scores, because I know a lot of my friends who have had amazing applications, but their ACT or SAT scores could not match up to what the college expected out of them. And that is the basis which I feel they got rejected on. So I think it's really important to focus on your SAT and ACT scores, because they are an objective view through which the college can choose whether they want you in or not. And apart from that, I think even other tests like SAT subject tests based on the college requirements is really important. So I myself took ACT and I got a 35. And I took 2 SAT subject tests. I took bio and math level 2, and I got an 800 in both. So the rationale behind it is that I took humanities and I wanted to apply for economics. So I wanted to show my academics to be stronger than the ISC curriculum, and that I could also do well with a science subject and with a more intensified mathematical curriculum. So, and I also took 2 APs. I took psychology and I took microeconomics, and I got a 5 in them. So I think people who have ISC or CBSC, for them taking AP makes sense because it shows that you have gone through programs that are pretty rigorous.
So an overall very solid application from a number standpoint. How important do you think the school academics aspect of this is, and what was your own performance during your school years?
So the first time that I actually realized that I should apply to not only to a college abroad but also to the Ivy Leagues was because I scored a 99% in my 10th board exams, and I ranked third all over India. So I realized that I had the academic potential, as well as I also had a lot of extracurricular activities. So I've done 20 debates and around 10 to 15 writing competitions in school. So I think I thought that I already had the kind of resume to which I could build on further in order to get into a school like that. And I think academics is something that you have to be really consistent in, and you just need to keep raising the bar every year. And if not raise it, then at least maintain it, because I think that again is a huge prerequisite that the colleges are looking for. Because apart from all your social service, all the extracurricular, all the research work, academics is something that you will have to really focus on in college as well. So I think that is something that students should not overlook.
So you mentioned that you were involved in a whole plethora of extracurricular activities. Do you want to maybe elucidate upon some of them? Any leadership positions you might have held, any meaningful involvements you might have had?
Right. So I think it's important for students to have these extracurricular activities. Since you are so active in those domains, gradually when you become seniors, you end up taking on leadership responsibilities. So because I was so active in the debate club, in the creative writing club, I ended up becoming the English Society president and the English debate president. Also, I really love to write. So I was the editor-in-chief of the annual magazine of my school. So I think that helped me show a lot of consistency, that not only was I very active in those domains, but I also could head those clubs in school.
And what will be your advice for students in 9 to 12 who want to build up an extracurricular profile to get into a good place?
That you need to juggle your academics with your extracurriculars. So I was in a boarding school, and every time we'd go for a debate, I'd miss 3-4 days of school, sometimes a week at a stretch. But it's really important that you sort of cover up later and you have to balance both in order to show that you are a versatile applicant. So you must continue doing whatever extracurricular it is you're doing, whether it's sports, whether it's drama, whatever it is, and you must be dedicated enough to go in for some sort of a leadership position.
Okay, that makes sense. And so we've gone through academics, we've gone through extracurriculars, we've gone through stats. There is another part of the application process which not many people are able to master, the essays. Would you like to talk a bit about that?
Okay.
How you approached your essays and how you think students should approach their own essays to get into some of these really good colleges?
Definitely. So I think when you are filling out the Common App or any other application for that matter, it's very objective in nature. They want your statistics, they want every club you've been part of, every social service activity that you've done. But essays give a very subjective glance to all of that. And that is, I think, that really makes what you've done very authentic. And that gives a story and a backdrop to everything that you've done, and that helps admission officers humanize you and understand you as a person, and that I think is essential to being an appealing applicant. So when I wrote my essays, what I did was I thoroughly researched the colleges that I've applied to, and I tried to look for the values that they seek in students, what they offer, and I tried to connect them with the things that I have done in high school. So I wrote about my instances of working in the debate club or in the annual magazine, and how I would like to carry forward the skill and everything that I've learned there to various such clubs in the colleges that I'm applying to. So I think it's very important to connect what you have done with what you want to do. And also you need to write about where you get the motivation for doing what you've done. So I'm the co-founder of this social service initiative called Project Pustak, and
Right.
we set up libraries for the underprivileged around India, and we've done that in 44 cities up till now. So the motivation behind that was from how I've been. So I love reading, and that's what pushed me to writing. And I just wanted to, I just wanted that privilege to be shared amongst everybody. So not only should children be able to have education, but also they need to have a more meaningful education by studying what is outside syllabus. So that gave me the motivation behind my social service initiative. And I think these stories, they are very important to admission officers, and these stories must be shared in the most beautiful manner and most lyrical manner as they can appear on paper. And I think essays go a long way to really speak about who you are.
So this social initiative of yours sounds absolutely wonderful, and it must have been a huge spike in your application. But apart from that,
Yes, it was.
how did you end up recognizing your other academic passions? Like you mentioned that you want to study economics. How did you sort of stumble upon that, and what did you
Right.
write as your motivations for studying economics?
So I think economics is something that also explores writing, but it is more expository. It's more critical. It's more real. And even though I love English, I just love how economics connects real world issues, and how it makes forecasts, and how it studies human behavior in the most real form. And even as a subject that I've studied in school, economics has really interested me, the mathematical angle that it has. So I would really like to study economics, and more than just my interest in it, I think what is essential to when you're choosing a major is what you want to do with it, and the kind of potential that actually lies in the real world. So I think
Right.
economics has big potential, and I really want to go into business. And I think that
Okay.
it is the more flexible major that you want to choose if you want to go into business. So that is why I chose economics.
And you mentioned Columbia was your dream school over even places like Oxford and places in Canada. Choosing between the other Ivies and Columbia, what were those last feathers that settled in to tip the scales in the favor of Columbia being the place where you wanted to send your ED to?
Right. So the number one point is that Columbia is right in New York City, so that gives excellent employment opportunities, and I think you can have fabulous internships, whether it's with UN or any other corporation. Also, I was really the co-curriculum really allures me because it has literature, humanities, it has science, and it gives you a flavor of everything. So I think that is what I really wanted to study. And Columbia otherwise is also very known for its academics, and
Yeah.
I believe that I can do academics better than anything else. So I wanted to go to a college that really has solid academics. So I chose Columbia that way.
And when you talk about your future aspirations of doing business and studying economics, where does Columbia fall into that? Is it like a really good place for you to pursue a business-based passion, or is it a very good, renowned institution for economics? What is it all about?
It's extremely renowned for economics, but then again, it is the work experience that I'll be getting from all the
Okay,
internship opportunities that it offers, all the work opportunities that will really help me get go into business.
okay. So there are a number of people who aspire to get into these Ivy League colleges. Everyone, every year, thousands of people apply, but only a very small percentage get in. However, most of the people who apply do have
Right.
excellent academics, excellent SATs, excellent scores, excellent everything. What is the little, what is the secret sauce that distinguishes the lucky 5% from the unlucky 95?
I think what is really important apart from the basics is to show that you have a very well developed and an all round CV. So it's very important that you have social service, that you have research, you have academics, and everything is very well balanced out. And you need to be very consistent and very continuous in everything that you're pursuing. So you can't do 10 different things for short spans of time. You need to take something and you need to make a big deal out of it. You need to show that you have been there with it throughout. Also, I think this is where essays play a major role, because essays give you that kind of edge that nothing else can give you, because most of the people have it all drilled out that they want to do these 4 5 things, and they have to be good at all of these aspects. So a CV becomes quite similar for all applicants, but an essay is something that is completely fresh and completely unique. So that is something that students must give a lot of time, research, and energy on.
And what would be your advice for applicants who are in the process of writing their own essays?
I think writing an essay could be a little daunting, especially when you're starting fresh. So it's very important you give a lot of thought to it. You really brainstorm. You have to research well based on what, especially when you're writing college specific essays. You have to you have to be very mindful of everything that you're saying, and especially because there is a word limit, you have to really make use of the space that you've been provided. And I think what really helped me was hiring a career counselor. So it was very efficient that way, because we'd set deadlines, we'd have everything edited out. So I did not have to really worry about getting the word limit right. I did not have to worry about whether my essay was good enough or not, because I had somebody who would take care of checking it for me, of telling me whether this would do or not. So I think, and I spent a lot of time doing it. So I spent most of my 12th grade writing essays, and I did not focus on my resume so much that time. So I think all of that time and the energy spent really did me well.
So, do you believe that a college counselor was a worthwhile investment?
Definitely.
And apart from the essays, what aspects did you seek out his or her help in, college lists or things like that? Walk us through how your college counselor was helpful in your entire process, not just the essays, but the whole big picture of it.
So I think she was helpful in everything. And I think when you're applying, especially to colleges abroad, it becomes very difficult to manage everything. You have to know what all
Yes, of
documents you
course.
need, what the deadlines should be, how you must fill out the Common App essay, the Common App application itself. And there are a lot of these spaces in the Common App where if you would be filling it on your own, you'd be completely at loss. You wouldn't know what has to go where. And I think a counselor goes a long way to tell you which links to add where and how to make your resume way better in presentation. So I think in every aspect of the application, a career counselor plays a very, very important role because they've already gone through everything. They know what is needed, what is not needed. So that advice is very, very valuable.
So before we wrap up, Asvi, I want your take on three things. I want your take firstly
Right.
on how applicants should craft an effective college list, one that would guarantee that they get into at least a bunch of good places. I need your take on scholarship and financial aid information, especially in the US. That is something that we have not talked about, but plays a major role in college decisions for a large number of people. And thirdly, I want your take on how important all of these aspects are in relativity. For example, though academics take up, a 30% weightage and essays only 5%, or are extracurriculars the king of the hill? What matters how much? What is the hierarchy in which you should prioritize these things?
Right. So, starting with a balanced list, I think it is very, very important to have a dream, to have a number of dreams, because, of course, one would love to get into them. Then you should have targeted schools because being realistic is really what is going to get you the longest way. And of course, you need to have safeties to fall back on because assuming something goes wrong, a lot of times you take your SAT till the very end, and if unfortunately you do not get the score that you're looking for, you have your safeties to keep you there. So I think that is very important. Now when you're choosing your ED also, you have to be very mindful about whether you want to ED your dream school, whether you want to ED your target school, because even though EDs increase your chance of getting in, you have to really make sure that your ED is worthwhile, that you're not wasting it on a school that is completely out of your league in that way. So I think your college list should be very well balanced. Applying to say about 10 to 15 colleges is pretty realistic. More than that will get very draining because you'll have to write so many essays. And applying to 2 3 schools really does not make a lot of sense to me, because then again you are trying to build a complete application. You're doing so many things, but the percentages that way will not work out in your favor if you're just applying to 2 3 colleges. So there you should keep your diversity there, and you should have 2 to 4 dream schools. I think the most number of schools that you should have are your target schools, which should be around 5 to 7 ideally, and safety schools you should have 2 to 3. So now you can divide them across the same country, or you can divide them country wise, however you want to do them. And I think making a college list can be something that you're spending a lot of time on, because you don't start straight away with a college list. You first start building your profile, and based on that you build a college list. So I think that is again where career counselors really come into play, because I myself had no idea what colleges would my application be suited to, and my career counselor went a long way to tell me that this is your dream school and this is your target school. So and these dream and targeted schools really differ from applicant to applicant, so there is no
Yes.
hard and fast rule there. And coming to financial aid and scholarships, so I had applied to Duke. I applied for the Robertson Scholars Program,
Yes.
and I got the interview call again for that, but I did not take the interview because I'd already met my ED condition. And I applied to USC early. And those who apply early, they get not with an ED, but I applied before the deadline, and they consider you for a scholarship if you do that. But again, I declined all my RD offers later. So I think applying for a scholarship, you have to be really mindful of whether your application is really suited to it. But I think there's no harm applying for a scholarship, especially to colleges that accept you on a regular basis also, even if they're not giving you a scholarship.
Right.
But if there are colleges that only take you on the basis of the scholarship, then it becomes a little dicey because you forego the chance of getting in normally if you don't get a scholarship. Then coming to financial aid, so I really needed to and I really wanted to apply for a scholarship for financial aid, but my counselor advised me against it because when you're applying to the Ivies, the number of people who they take in through financial aid is very, very small. And my father is a businessman, so according to my counselor, people who already have an economic and financial backing, for them getting financial aid is even harder. So I did not want to forego my college for that. So I think taking a loan or other other financing opportunities can also work out if you do not get a financial aid package. But otherwise, if you need to go in for a financial aid package, then very well you must apply, because there are a lot of colleges that are need blind, such as Harvard and Princeton. But again, I did not think my profile was good enough to do an ED there. So I was about to RD there, but I applied to Columbia with an ED and I did not apply with any financial aid. So I think you're taking a chance there, and that is a big chance. But of course, there are a lot of colleges that give a lot of financial aid packages, but I'm not the person you want to talk to about it because I did not really go through that process. And again, if for students who want to apply with a financial aid, there are a lot of papers, there are a lot of details, a lot of deadlines to be met. So I think again, their counselors play a huge role because they know the drill. Then I forgot your third question.
How much do the different aspects of your application matter in a relative basis?
Right. Right. So I think academics is the number one thing that
Okay.
matters. But of course, that's not even close to 90% of your application. That is again like more like a checklist, more like a prerequisite. So all your standardized testings, all your academics, that really stand as a prerequisite. I think in the US and all these colleges abroad, social service is something that really matters. So I think social service would take about 30% of your CV, and doing community based projects where you are collaborating with people, where you're working with groups of people, all of that really counts, and it really shows that you are aware of what is happening outside of you. So I think that is something that students should focus on. Then again, major oriented college profile building is very important. So if you're applying for, say, English, you must have papers, you must have done competitions, you must have extracurricular that is backing the major that you want to apply to. You cannot have an English oriented CV and then apply for history or political science. So I think that forms 50% of your application, because apart from the basics, apart from your academics and community service and all of that, they really want to see that you are strong enough to study what you want to study. So say you're applying for political science, I think it is important that you have a research paper, that you have competitions that you've entered that really show that you have an acumen for the particular subject. So I think that way it is very important to write research papers and otherwise literary essays, and that constitutes 10 to 20% of your application. Then doing internships is something that has really sprouted, and everyone's doing an internship. But it's not enough to just do a random internship where you get a letter of recommendation. It is also important that you are doing something that is truly worthwhile, that you have proof of that, and that all of that is properly talked about in your letter of recommendation. So I had done an internship with Mitali Nikor, and she's an economist with the World Development Bank. And I did a lot of work with her. I worked with her for a year. So I think it's really important that, again, not only do you have a lot of breadth in your CV, but also a lot of depth. So I think that was something that was really highlighted in my CV, because not only is she a renowned economist, I also did a lot of important projects with her. One of them even got published by the Times of India blog. So I think that was one of the stars of my CV. And internships would take about, again, 20 to 30% of your profile. And I think the rest 20% can be attributed to your extracurriculars, everything you're doing in school apart from your academics. Because schools not only offer those academics, but they also offer so many clubs, so many sports, so many different things. So we had SUPW in school, and they had different community initiatives which you could be a part of. We did a lot of fundraising at various fairs, and I think all of that goes a long way to show that you are contributing in your school and through your school from means that are other than academics.
Okay.
So I think that makes 100%.
Okay, Vasvi, that was incredibly insightful. I am sure it will be quite helpful to a number of people. Thank you for speaking with me today. Hopefully, we can work on something together soon again.
Great. Thank you so much, Ajit. Okay.
So guys, that was Vasvi. It was a delightful conversation. I hope you learned, gained something from listening to it. Thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe, like and share the video if you found that it had any value for you. And remember, do email me at walsoneducation@gmail.com if you need any help in your own application process. Let's set up a free consultation. Let's talk what we can do for you and how and if we can help you out in your own admissions journey. Until then, goodbye.